Hi, I'm Opal Mitchell, and this is the Crafting with Opal program that I do on Thursdays at 4. And this is, I work for the Central Arkansas Library System, and I work at the Nixon branch. Today we are going to be doing a DIY herb garden, and I have a helper today, Joseph. He works here at the library, and I'm going to switch the camera around where you can see him, and we're going to get started. And first we're going to show you how to do a herb in a pot that you can grow in your windowsill. So let me switch over, and I'm going to have to move over there closer to him. So there's Mr. Joseph, and he's our expert on gardening that we have at the library. And I'm going to switch this over here. So I don't know, did you want to say a few words before we get started?
Hey.
Just hey? Okay. Alrighty. And I'm going to turn it down, and I'm going to keep the microphone on me.
Okay.
And since it's going to be really hard, sorry, that was my papers. And I'm going to switch this down here. And I'm
Can you see it? Okay.
Yes. And I'm probably going to lower it just a little bit. This is so not wanting to move. Okay, so all right, so we're gonna get started with putting our little herb plant in the pot there.
Make sure they can see it. For everybody that's participating,
You will have gotten the pot last week, because you would have decorated it, probably, hopefully, since you got the supplies for it. And your little tray for your water, and then you're gonna have gotten this week your shake and feed. We got the Miracle Grow. You don't have to get that brand, but that's what we got. And then the soil is actually what brand? It's just a organic one, and that's kind of what's recommended for herbs is organic soil. So you want something that's for containers, that like this one says it's a container mix. So as long as you get one that's for containers and it's organic, then you're good to go. You don't have to get the one that we got, because you want it to drain really well. So, alrighty. So we're doing basil, and you will have picked either a purple opal basil, which is the one that we're going to be putting in our pot today, or you would have gotten a lemon basil or a sweet basil. You've got to choose. Most of you chose, or if you didn't choose, then I just kind of picked the best looking plant to give you. All right, and so with this one, you're just going to take your soil and put it into your pot. And he's going to get started here.
I was going to show them here about that. Only going up to about that line.
Yeah, he's showing that you only want to fill it up to about within an inch of the top of the pot, which hopefully I gave you enough soil.
I think it should be just about right. Actually. Maybe a little bit over
more.
It, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good, because I was afraid I wasn't going to give y'all enough.
No, I think it's going to be perfect.
Perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have gloves, but I'm a dirt digger. I like to dig in the dirt, so just that feel.
But for growing it, you're going to want to pick, if you're going to have a window in your home that you're going to put it in, you need to pick a window that faces south or southwest, that gets at least 6 hours of sun per day. So, and you also want to make sure that you don't have any drafts, like if you have your AC, you don't want anything blowing straight on it that's going to make it cold. You don't want that type of thing for your plant. All right, and he's going to go ahead and get it in there.
I was going to show him on this. I like to just kind of play around with the depth on it and just
to see
how it's going to.
And if one of yours, I noticed some of the ones I was giving away had some roots showing towards the top of it. If that's the case, you want to kind of cover that up past the roots. Some of those did that to me whenever I was growing them.
I'm going to put this a little bit higher.
If you don't have a window that's going to work out for you, then you can always buy a plant light, I saw one at Walmart for about $50–$60, so you may be able to go online and find one cheaper than that. But I wasn't even shopping. I just happened to notice it at the store there. So you could always do that if you don't have a good window for this.
And be sure and keep some of your dirt out so you can put it around once you've actually got planted. And I like to take a little bit of the shake and feed and go ahead and put it down in there so that can go directly to the roots
Whenever you plant it.
Yeah, and I just kind of, you don't want it to be like rot, you don't want to burn them, but and then do just like that. And see, this has got that little biodegradable, so you don't have to take that off. Leave it on there. Don't peel that off. Leave it on. And then we're gonna go ahead and cover the rest of it. And it's okay if it kind of knocks it down a little bit. These guys will perk back up with the sun if you happen to knock it over. Just kind of spread that around a little bit and put you some more of your shake and feed just sort of around in there.
Oops.
And there's kind of a lot in there, so that's good. You'll have some left over. But we're gonna take the rest of this and just kind of put it around, sort of bed it in, make it happy. And, kind of hard to get out of the bag without making a mess here, but
we're outdoors, so
yeah, it's okay. And look, like I said, I like having dirty hands anyway while I do this stuff. It just has a feel to it. And of course the wind's trying to blow everything away as well.
Yeah, doing things outdoors is always fun.
Yeah, at least the traffic's not as bad as we thought it might be. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now see your little guy's in there, and we're gonna water him in just a little bit. Oh, I overfilled this. Yeah, I way overfilled that. Sorry, hang on. And you see you got your little retainer tray. Be sure and use that because of the hole in the bottom of the pot. You want to definitely make sure you're able to let it drain. You don't want the water sitting in there. It can actually end up drowning your roots out. So this little guy's planted and he's happy. so we got him took care of, and this is what this is one way you can do. You know, you can use the pot that you got, but you can also we're going to do another one in the ground.
Yes.
Over here.
Yes, we've got a nice big area here.
And this, by the way, this pot needs to be in a window or somewhere where it gets pretty much full sun.
Yeah, for at least 6 hours a day is what they recommend.
Yeah, and this is why, the reason we chose, Opal and I chose this spot is because, as you can see,
there's a lot of sun.
There's a lot of sun. And so we're going to kind of move this out of the way.
And if you have any questions while we're doing this, please do a comment, and we'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you might be having about this too. But you do, like he was saying, make sure that when you're watering your plant too, they say not to just sparsely water it, to water it till it, because they want to make sure it gets all the way through. And when you're checking it to see if it needs more water, let it get kind of dry on top, and then poke your finger down into the soil, and if it's still wet within an inch below the dirt, don't water it, because they don't like it for the basil and stuff. The herbs, they don't like to be wet all the time. So let it get a little dry, and once you poke your finger in there and it's not dry, it's actually dry, then you can go ahead and water it again. But you shouldn't have to do that real often. And they said to only feed it fertilizer on the kind that said it's good for either all-purpose or edible plants, and to only do it every other month because it doesn't need it all the time too. So just keep that in mind. And I think that's and when you start wanting to eat it too, start eating your plant, they said it needs to get at least 6 inches tall. before you can start cutting pieces off of it to eat it. And they said never trim more than 1/3 of the plant's foliage. That can stress the plant out. And it's good to have some backup ones to replace it every 4 to 6 months. So keep that in mind. Don't think that it's going to live for a long time in a pot. So that's just the way it is. But if you plant it outside, you're going to be much better off. So he's going to go ahead and show you how to do the outdoor one.
And this time we're going to use a spade. So if you're going in the ground, I like to push the spade down in there as hard as I can get it until it stops, and then kind of, whoops, I missed it, kind of, you know, just in case there's roots and rocks and sticks and stuff in there, which there is. And then kind of do like this. Make yourself a space. And then dig out that middle that you loosened up. And of course, these guys, you're not going to have to get real deep because there's not a whole lot there to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there will be. And see, we got some garbage in here, roots that we don't need. So we're going to do just like we did with the pot. Going to make that space and then get some
shake and feed.
Yeah, and actually,
you'll use some of that.
Yeah, might as well just go ahead and use what's here because since we have a whole thing of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and shake some of that around in there for your roots. And now, when you're doing it in the ground, the pot, I do the watering after everything's planted, but when it's in the ground like this, I think it's a good idea because it's always worked well for me. Go ahead and put your stuff and then go ahead and water that.
Just a little
the wind's trying to blow our stuff away. So you kind of got that going. That water activates the shake and feed.
Okay.
So, and then you take your little guy and we're gonna check and see if he's deep enough, and looks like he's actually pretty perfect. And
did you want any of the
yeah, I was thinking, let's go ahead and we're going to fill this in instead of with the, I mean, this is good, nice, dark, rich dirt, but we have
that
our
organic
Performance Miracle Grow, so we're going to go ahead and stick some of that in there. I'm going to try not to get the bag in the way, but I'm just going to bed him in here. I name them at home.
You name your plants?
I name my plants, yeah. It's like my birds and all that stuff. They all got names. So we'll call this, I don't know. What do you think, Rocky? The ground's pretty rocky. Okay, so he's bedded in there pretty well. And then we're going to take some of the original soil and kind of top that out with it. And now if I were at home, I'm a big mulch fan, you know. So I'd be putting mulch around that just to, if you especially if you're somebody that doesn't want to water every single day, or really even all that often, mulch is really good because it'll keep that moisture in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that, and then we're going to put a little bit more, did I use, no I didn't.
Yeah,